time you are watching this, we have better medical care than ever before. Also, fewer people starve, the number of wars around the globe is dropping, and we have more rights and freedom. If you picked someone from the Middle Ages and a housewife from the 1950s, they would probably both say that civilization has developed since their time in most areas, even if it's still far away from perfection. So how come there are so many people suffering from depression in the modern world, and what does kind words have to do with all this? One would think the fulfillment of needs and wants, the ability to research and practice science and religion without restrictions, and having tools to shape our own life would result in an overall satisfied population. As statistics show, however, the suicide rates in rich and politically stable states like mine are reaching numbers humankind hasn't seen before. Major depressive disorder and depressive behavior have been a growing issue for the modern world and the number one cause for suicide. While some affected states took exemplary measures to fight these mental health problems, they are still stigmatized in most places, creating a blockade in both politics and everyday conversations, making it hard to get to their core. Typically, suffering from depression is connected with an existential crisis in one way or another, meaning the person feels unfulfilled but without purpose or interest at the same time, creating an existential loophole. While we can't observe similar behavior patterns with happy and healthy individuals, it is not completely irrational to believe that everything we are and do is without purpose. In the end, we will have spent about 1/3 of our life sleeping and the rest not achieving anything great and remarkable. Therefore, to say the life of a depressive person has less meaning than the life of a mentally healthy and productive person is ridiculous, because the universe doesn't care about either one of them. We are all just as big as one divided by infinity, not worth mentioning and without impact. That is quite depressing if our goal is to become something more than we are actually capable of. But what if we changed our mindset and sought satisfaction within our limits? This existential loophole of not finding any meaning in life is dependent on the search for meaning itself. While we cannot influence whether or not we will ever find something worth waking up for, we can certainly make the choice to stop looking for purpose and settle with things we have no control over. There is no avoiding how cheesy this sounds, but only then we will learn to appreciate people. Hoarding materialistic goods, reaching our life goal, or saving the planet will all just lead to the next question, leaving us empty. But people constantly add value to our lives without us desperately asking for it. That is why it is easy to take them for granted. So, without question, growing through a constant social exchange is the most significant part of living happily. This is the point where kind words finally comes in. Kind words can be barely called a video game, but it's a big one when it comes to emotional education. The game itself costs €4 and it has an overwhelmingly positive rating on Steam with a whopping 98% positive reviews out of 3,000. So what is kind words all about? There is very little interaction with the game. You have 4 options: read requests from other people and respond, write requests yourself, read the replies in your inbox, and send out paper planes to everyone containing, well, kind words. Now, if you think this is just a pen pal system connecting people from around the globe, you are wrong. This is how the game works. Step 1. You articulate a concern of yours or something you want to get off your chest. Step 2. Strangers who choose to reply to your request will write you an answer letter, either offering advice or just sharing a similar story they have experienced. Then you can say thank you and that's it. You cannot write to the same person ever again. It's reducing communication to its core, consisting of one short message and one short response. This cut right on the border of "we shared" and "we discussed" may seem obscure at the first glance, but it is truly necessary for people who tend to quickly lose control of their thoughts in a conversation. In a real conversation, they would begin to ponder, flooding their headspace with distractions from the main purpose of exchange. They would have a hard time capturing what the opposite side has to say, making it also hard to react in an honest and genuine way, and this cycle would repeat over and over until they become exhausted. Kind words is a safe space where you can practice getting out of that cycle. The developers prioritize improving confidence and self-satisfaction over developing a connection with others, which is known to exhaust emotionally unstable people and push them towards giving up on social interactivity altogether. In kind words, people are given one task at once. You can take your time and articulate your message until you are satisfied with what you have written down. This way, you evade the anxiety caused by uncertainty and second guessing while you are stating your opinion and concerns. You will be able to deliver something as you want it to, making sharing easy and getting a feeling of being in control. As you receive a reply, you will have no other choice than to accept its content and move on, since the game will prevent you from starting a discussion. By the way, I have no idea how the developers keep up with the growing community because I haven't experienced toxicity so far. Everyone seems to benefit from the concept and give their best writing letters of comfort and gentle advice. Of course, it is impossible to fully grasp what the other person is going through by reading a few sentences he wrote. Therefore, there is little chance that your advice is actually helpful. Kind words, as caring as its community is no substitute for therapy, medication, or real conversations. The whole point of the game is not to solve others' problems or get your own ones figured out by them. It is to feel grateful for the mere act and intention of someone answering your call, put aside the answer itself and the person in question. It is to explore the limits of what people can and can't do to emotionally support each other. You can comfort others, but you can't solve issues that are bigger than you and shouldn't expect others to drive change in your life either, because you will feel let down if they don't. It is to realize that you are responsible for what you do next, but also to emphasize that you aren't responsible for anything else. People with depressive behavior deal with a lot of pressure, because they don't know what their responsibilities in life are and how to set their priorities. They are distressed in everyday situations because they lose the purpose of communication out of sight. Back in the year 2006, participants of a survey collecting data about social interactivity in the first world were asked how often they have a deep conversation with a friend per month. The most common answer was 0, and that was before even 5% of them had smartphones. It's no wonder people are depressed. Kind words did an excellent job reducing communication to the essential part of social exchange, letting the community gain experience they lack and which they can later apply in real life. The game educates in the sense of giving players an insight into their emotional boundaries and a deeper understanding of human relationships. It teaches you how to share, what to appreciate in others, but also to rely on yourself in order to prevent feeling let down. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this type of content, don't forget to check out my series called Game Appeal. Subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification whenever I upload. If you have a question or want to point out something I forgot, leave a comment and let's talk. Depression and the reason why people become depressed is a controversial topic, and I'm not saying I am right. I am merely sharing my knowledge about and my experience with depression. If you have another opinion and want to share it too, I'm happy to listen and to discuss. Stay healthy, and I will see you in the next one.